Well, Australian cricketer Usman Khawaja says he will not use the first test to stage a pro-Palestinian protest after the International Cricket Council told him there would be consequences. Khawaja had written on his shoes the statements, freedom is a human right and all lives are equal, and planned to wear them at the Perth Test, which starts tomorrow. But of course, the ICC have told him that he should not do that. Now, he said he will abide by their ruling, but he will continue to argue the point. Here was Usman Khawaja speaking on social media today.
The ICC have told me that I can't wear my shoes on field because they believe it's a political statement under their guidelines. I don't believe it is so. It's a humanitarian appeal. I will respect their view and decision, but I will fight it and seek to gain approval.
Except it is political, because he goes on in that video to talk about children dying, and he can't stand while children are dying, hundreds, thousands of... We all know he's talking about Palestinian children. He's not protesting for women and children held hostage by Hamas. And this idea that, you know, well, all lives matter. I mean, what does that even mean? No one disagrees with that statement. He's trying to be tricky here, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, and obviously the ICC aren't taking it. Although, again, I do love his point that when it suits them, the ICC are very political themselves, most recently to do with The Voice, stating their opinions, putting out statements, foisting it on everyone who came to a game. People want this kind of thing out of sport altogether. Sport is something that unites us all. Everyone's just there for a good time. If you want to start making political statements, which he is on his social media, clearly, very freely, no slap on the wrist from the ICC there, but you want to do it during a game. And that's simply not what people came for. Much like the actors at the Sydney Theatre Company, it wasn't that they had an opinion. That isn't the issue. It's that they did it on company time and in front of an audience that didn't appreciate it, and therefore there's going to be repercussions. The ACC does not want repercussions. They don't want to be dealing with this post-game, during game. So they're just saying, look, let's rip this out at the root right now. It's simply not going on. I'm a free speech absolutist. I'm always just like, everyone say whatever. But when it comes to the fact that you are on a platform afforded to you by an employer who is paying you not to air your political opinions, but to do a job.
And wearing an Australian uniform, which effectively he's defacing. Whether you agree with it or not, it's the Australian uniform.
Yeah, but, I mean, the concept of free speech is simply that the government does not interfere in your ability to speak. But when you are using someone else's platform, they have every right to tell you whether or not they cannot say what you're saying. You know, we wouldn't just let any old duck walk off the street and come into the studio and sit in the chair there and say whatever the hell they wanted. You know, we've got rules to abide by, and we choose who we allow on air because we're allowed to do that. We're a private company. And there is a precedent here because Moeen Ali, I think it was in 2014, Pommy player, wore a wristband that had Free Palestine or some such message on it, and he was told by the ICC that he couldn't wear it because it's against the rules. So they've been here before, they've set the precedent, all they are doing is enforcing that precedent. But I couldn't get over the Sports Minister, the Federal Sports Minister, Annika Wells today, who weighed into it and said, as Federal Sports Minister, I've always advocated for athletes having the right to a voice and to speak up on matters important to them. Now, she's missed the point again. There's nothing to stop Usman Khawaja having his say at a press conference or on social media or in any other capacity as an individual. He's just not allowed to do it on the cricket field. But where was she when Israel Folau? And admittedly, she was a minister at the time, but I've not seen any statement from her about Israel Folau when he was drummed out of rugby union. I didn't see any statement from her when players at the Manly Sea Eagles didn't want to play because they were going to be forced to wear the Pride jersey, which went against their religious ideals. It seems this only cuts in one direction. All these people just discovered free speech overnight when they've never known about it before.
There is one person...
Music.
There is one...
It's just been like, now I'm all for it. It's like, where were you? You've been around for years.
There is, of course, one person who doesn't mind using the cricket field to promote his favourite political causes, and that's the Australian captain, Pat Cummins.
I spoke to him just quickly. He said he won't be. He won't be, but yeah, Aussie doesn't want to make too big of a fuss. I think his shoes. He had all lives are equal. I think that's not very divisive. I don't think anyone can really have too many complaints about that.
Well, you'd expect Pat Cummins to support Khawaja, wouldn't you? Because Pat Cummins will protest against, fossil fuel companies and in favour of Indigenous rights and so on and so forth.
Well, they cost him sponsorship. They basically got rid of Alinta because Cummins and the players were against it. They got rid of Justin Langer as coach because Cummins and the players were against it. They seem to be running the show over there, but obviously Khawaja says he's going to fight it. Good luck with that. It's against the rules. I think it's pretty clear cut.